The Miami Heat could be in for a rude awakening as the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes begin to take shape, and early indications suggest the competition could be even more intense than the Kevin Durant trade frenzy of last summer. ESPN's Brian Windhorst said Thursday on First Take that the Milwaukee Bucks superstar's recent comments about his future point to a looming decision that could shake the NBA landscape. Teams around the league, he noted, are already preparing for the possibility that the two-time MVP may soon seek a new home. Antetokounmpo just gave you the answer to that question, Windhorst said. He said 6 or 7 months. He didn't just pull that number out of thin air. He thought very carefully about how long it was until the end of the season. And what he basically said there is, I'm going to give it another evaluation at the end of the season. Windhorst added that while the Bucks remain hopeful, most rival executives believe the clock is ticking on Antetokounmpo's time in Milwaukee. It is very clear to the whole league that Giannis's situation in Milwaukee is probably short-term, he said. Could they surprise the league this year and have a great run in the Eastern Conference? I've seen stranger things. But the league is preparing for the end of Giannis's tenure in Milwaukee. Antetokounmpo keeps focus on present for now. The 2021 NBA Finals MVP attempted to cool speculation this week, though his remarks may have only fanned the flames. First of all, I haven't read that story, Antetokounmpo said after Wednesday's practice. When the season starts, I try to get off social media and focus on my craft and the team. But yeah, I've said this many times. I want to be in a situation where I can win, and right now I'm here. I believe in this team. I believe in my teammates. I'm here to lead this team to wherever we can go. However, his follow-up comment hinted at the uncertainty that continues to surround his long-term future. I think I've communicated with my teammates and the people I respect that the moment I step on this court or in this facility, the rest does not matter, he said. Now, if in 6-7 months I change my mind, I think that's human too. You're allowed to make any decision you want. The statement underscored what many insiders already believe, that the Bucks' 2025 season could be championship or bust, a pivotal year that may determine whether Antetokounmpo remains in Milwaukee or ushers in another seismic superstar relocation. Heat's trade arsenal comes up short. If Antetokounmpo does become available, the Heat will likely find themselves at a severe disadvantage. Miami has only 2 future first-round picks, 2030 and 2032, available to trade under league rules, a paltry offering compared to teams like Golden State, Houston, and San Antonio, all of whom boast significantly deeper draft capital and more attractive young player assets. According to the Miami Herald's Barry Jackson, the Heat's front office has long been monitoring the situation but has drawn a firm line when it comes to their franchise cornerstone. If Giannis Antetokounmpo had asked out, the Heat was prepared to make an offer that did not include Bam Adebayo, Jackson reported. But it's unlikely any such offer would have been seriously considered. If Antetokounmpo requests a trade at some point, it remains to be seen if the Heat would ever change its mind about offering Adebayo. Complicating matters further, Antetokounmpo shares the same agent, Octagon managing director Alex Saratzis, as Adebayo. Jackson noted that it's improbable the Bucks star would seek a move to Miami without Adebayo remaining on the roster. It's unlikely that the Bucks star would want to join a Heat team without Adebayo, Jackson wrote. So, it's all likely moot. A new era of superstar movement? If Windhorst's forecast holds true, the NBA could soon be preparing for yet another power shift. Just as Durant's trade saga reshaped the league's balance of power, Antetokounmpo's potential availability could ignite an even larger bidding war. For now, the Heat's front office can only wait and hope Milwaukee's title chase falters, while knowing fully well that, without major roster changes or additional picks, they may already be out of the running before it begins. After Bleacher Report predicted Kasparas Giannis to make the NBA's all-rookie team this season, perhaps it may be time for Miami Heat fans to raise their expectations for the young guard. At the very least, there is certainly a raised bar for him from rival executives. Dubbed as also the player that will be remembered as the biggest steal from the 2025 NBA draft in the NBA's annual GM survey, Giannis is not entering this season under the radar by any means. While there may not be much expected from him initially, from inside the organization, that's clearly not universally the case. Giannis may need some time to develop in the shadows, but with the promise that he's shown in spurts throughout his time with the Heat's Summer League team and then in his preseason debut, it might be difficult for Miami to keep him out of the rotation for long, especially considering that their thin backcourt depth and overall lack of playmaking are a bit of a blind spot for the team heading into the start of the season. Kasparas Giannis can be a special talent. In a perfect scenario, Giannis would emerge as a serious contributor to the Heat this season. His size, playmaking, and scoring versatility on the offensive end of the floor are exactly what the Heat may be needing off the bench. From a long-term perspective, there's reason to believe that Giannis could be viewed as, at least, a future starter, and perhaps even a star foundational player. That's the type of talent and ceiling he has at the moment. And that's without a large sample size of him in a Heat uniform. But he impressed enough during his first preseason game that fans were left wanting more. If that trend continues over the team's last few preseason games, it will put Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra in an interesting dilemma as the start of the regular season looms. Historically, SPO and the Heat at large have generally shied away from putting too much on the shoulders of their young players. I can't imagine Giannis is going to be the exception by any means. However, I don't believe it should come as any surprise if Giannis is able to carve out a consistent role in the Heat's rotation by midseason. And if this one specific bold prediction by Bleacher Report is any indication, there should be much expected from Giannis this season. It may not come right away, but by the end of the year, the hope from the Heat is that he becomes a bit of a household name across the league. I'm sure this is one of those predictions that Heat fans would have little issue with coming to fruition. Many around the NBA expected the Sacramento Kings to begin a rebuild this offseason after trading De'Aaron Fox last season, but that was not the case. Instead, Sacramento elected to keep their core of Domantas Sabonis, Demar Derozan, and Zach LaVine together this offseason, and also made some key additions to their roster to try and fight for a playoff spot this season. The Kings began their offseason by selecting Meek Clifford and Maxime Reynaud in the 2025 draft, and they then signed Dennis Schroeder in free agency to fill their void at the starting point guard position. By making these moves, the Kings are looking to make a run at a playoff spot in the loaded Western Conference this season after narrowly missing the postseason last year. He could show interest in DeMar DeRozan. While Sacramento will try to clinch a playoff spot in the West this season, if they have a slow start to the season, they may elect to make some major moves. If that is the case, one player they could trade is DeRozan, and if they choose to do so, there could be multiple teams that show interest in the veteran forward. One of those teams could be the Miami Heat, as they were linked to DeRozan in the offseason as they try to add another star next to Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo. Mock trade swaps DeMar DeRozan for Andrew Wiggins. In a potential trade, the Kings could send DeRozan and Devin Carter to the Heat in exchange for Andrew Wiggins, Simone Fontecchio, and draft capital. For the Kings, making this trade would allow them to swap DeRozan for a former champion in Wiggins who would replace him in the starting lineup. Wiggins is a great scorer and defender who would provide the Kings with another solid forward who also brings championship experience to their roster. Last season, the 30-year-old forward averaged 18.0 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and 1.0 steals per game, while shooting 44.8% from the field and 37.4% from three with both the Heat and the Golden State Warriors. The veteran forward could be a solid replacement for DeRozan, as he could fit in well alongside Sabonis, LaVine, and the rest of Sacramento's starting lineup. Sacramento would also acquire a solid scorer off the bench in Fontecchio in this trade, as the veteran forward would provide the Kings with another key player off the bench. Last season, the 29-year-old forward averaged 5.9 points, 2.9 rebounds, and 0.9 assists per game, while shooting 40.2% from the field and 33.5% from three with the Detroit Pistons. While adding both Wiggins and Fontecchio to their roster in this trade could work out well for the Kings and keep them competitive in the West, moving on from Carter would be a tough decision for them to make, as the second-year guard showed potential last season. Despite this, Sacramento is open to moving Carter this offseason, and that may continue to be the case ahead of the trade deadline as they try to make it back to the playoffs this season.